Right then gang, welcome back to Plumber Parts. We're out on the tools today doing a job that's, well, hopefully what you're going to take away from this video is what you have to think about when installing a water softener. But there's going to be one part of this video that isn't going to quite work properly, and that is going to be our brine overflow chamber outlet. Oh yeah, that's a reason to stick around watching, isn't it? We'll have a look at the job. I think really just watch us over the shoulder, probably do a bit of a voiceover about what I'm doing, talk to you guys about what I'm doing as well, yeah, and go from there. Before we get started with this video, I'd like to ask you to click the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's really important and helps the channel grow. Anyway, let's get on with the video. We'll go in now, have a quick look at this job. Let's knock on. Yeah, don't worry, they already know that I'm filming. They've had it before. See, the door's opening already. Morning, Bernie.
Oh, good.
Say hello to everybody.
Hello. Good morning.
Fortunately, Bernie's washed, because I'm going to be turning the water off soon, for more reasons than one. Oh, dearie me. Right, so this is the work area. Right, so we've got our mains in there. That valve's letting by, so we're going to be cutting in a lever valve just in here. And then at the back there, we've got quite a lot of sort of jiggery pokery to do. I think that's the best thing to say. The water softener is going to be sited in this side here, so we're going to have to skill saw back the bottom of the plinth here and make that good. But hopefully we're going to get it far enough back so the kickball can go back in. That's the plan. So the thing about work like this is that you're trying to integrate something into something that's been there for, 20 years maybe, Bernie, something like that. 30 years, so almost as long as I've been alive. We'll see what we can do. It's difficult. More the thing is the depth of the unit and also getting the flexibles in, but also, like I said, the brine overflow. And the reason we can't do that, so usually what you do with a brine overflow is if the brine chamber ever fills up, there's just a natural gravity overflow that goes out, usually a hose that goes out the back and then terminates out there. But out the back on this house, this is the end of the house here, there is actually a conservatory, and you're not going to want your water running into the conservatory. So I think what we're going to do is, once we've done this in a couple of days time, I think the best thing is we could either terminate it down there, so if it does start to leak, it's like, oh, you notice it straight away, and you can just switch off the manifold that we're going to install and then service the water softener after that. It's never happened on these particular water softeners that I've had before. All right, Bernie? But the other thing we can do as well...
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
You need to sign it.
And the other thing we can do is put a tray in, so if you get kind of a warning because you're, oh, the tray's filling up, but then you don't have the concurrent issues of a leak. The problem with the tray is that it's going to be hidden under the kickboard and you're never going to see it anyway. So I don't know, we might even put it in here. It could just be a little tray that sits there, and if you notice it filling up with water, then you know that there's a problem. But that's the only part of this job that isn't going to be 100% what you'd always do when you're doing a water softener installation. But fortunately, Bernie knows that now. Right, so here is the beast. Yes, one please, thanks. Perfect time for me to give you a quick bit of knowledge as to how these work. So usually what you see when you've got a water softener, the main bit, that's the really important part of a water softener, is this bit here, the resin chamber. What that has is loads of positively charged beads, or is it negative? I can't remember. But what happens is you pass hard water through this, and the particles and the sort of the minerals and things like that that are in water that create hard water are the actual thing that is hard water. Is the opposite charge to what these are in here. Therefore, they're attracted to the beads in here. That is what it does with all the water that comes into the house. The top bit here is a mechanical valve where we've got different inlets. So we've got an inlet and outlet. We've got like the brine chamber outlet, but we've also got our rinsing regeneration outlet, okay? So it's always a bit of a fallacy. People think that soft water is salted, or it's salt water, because you're pouring salt into a brine chamber. But that's not true. You use the brine to smash off the particles that have been attracted onto the resin when it regenerates. That's why a lot of people say it tastes funny, it must be salt water. It's pretty much, from what I've heard, it's got the same sodium content, the water that comes out of this, the softened water, as a glass of milk. So it shouldn't be any worry whatsoever. So that's what they do when they regenerate. But it's nice to know how they work like that, but we have to actually install it and get it running. So what we're going to do, we're going to scope out what we've got to do here for the pipe work. I'll build this up. Then what I tend to do is I'll build my manifold on a piece of wood outside, so I can do all my soldering in front. I'm not underneath doing all the soldering, and then we'll do the final connections at the end. Now you guys, I'm sure you've seen us do that on another few videos back at the studio. But yeah, so that's it. And then what I'll do, I'll show you how we set this up, because we need to commission it So it's not regenerating all the time because that uses lots of salt up. But we want it to regenerate in a metered way according to the usage of this house, but also according to the hardness in the Clark value of the water here. So that's what we're going to be doing. I know you just want to hit the subscribe now because of all of that. And to see my biceps as I lift this thing up and down, man. Sorry, Bernie. Bernie, the strong customer, is holding the beast at the moment. This is the brine outlet that I'm worried about later on in this video. But we'll come up with something for this that sort of works for the situation that we're in. Right then guys, so we've got our outlets on the back. This is going to be our hard water in, it will get softened, and then this will be our softened water out. This is our regeneration dumping pipe that we'll just put into the standpipe conveniently just through there, and I think we've got room for it too. And then we'll see what we can do with the brine chamber overflow, and then we'll plug it in. So now what we've got to do is figure out that I can see here how far these come over, and I'm thinking what I want to do is put my manifold on this side, right where everything comes in, of the cupboard, but we'll see. So first things first, let's get our new valve cut in. Usually I'd go outside, turn the water off and take the whole valve out, but no one knows where the stopcock is, and I didn't quite have enough pipe there to do a freeze and take it off so close to where I was going to be working. So I thought it's best just to leave that valve where it is, pop a new lever valve on, and you'll see later on what I put after that, the safety devices that we have to put in to make sure that this works okay. I'm also cutting out loads of bad pipe work as well, so we can redesign what's at the back of the cupboard and leave the cupboard as useful as it was before, even though we've put a water softener in there as well. Right, so I'm just going to cut my bit of manifold, well, my wood, and then I'm going to build up all my pipework onto that. Just means I'm less head under the sink, which I hate, and also I can just get it all in front of me and make sure that all my soliders are perfect and make sure that the job goes really well. So I've just got a small bit of ply here that we're just going to rip down and then get that installed. Planning time starts now. This is the best bit. So now with this little bit of wood we can score a line along here like that, and that now we can design all of our manifold on this piece of wood out in front of us, not up here, not doing soldering up there and all this sort of stuff. There will be a tiny bit of soldering on here, but we've really minimised the amount of that there's going to be. So now I can just say, right, I know exactly where my main's coming in because I've got it lined up already. There we go, there's my main in there. And I'll just be able to leave a little stub of pipe on that. So now I can actually sketch out what I want to do. I can sketch it out on here and plan it out properly and hopefully keep it nice and neat. So I know for a fact that I'm going to keep my two manifold valves at the back and at the top and slightly angled down so they go nicely into these hoses and we don't sort of make loads of stress on these joints. It's like we don't want to be doing that. So I know that I'm going to have a valve here like that, a valve here like that, okay, but they're going to stick out at a diagonal at the back. In between those two valves we also know we've got our bypass, so if there's any problem with the water softener we can shut it off and then just open the bypass up. The house still then has a water supply while we fix the whatever issue there could be with the water softener. So we'll run up to the top here, then we'll tee into our unsoftened outlet at the top, but then we'll tee over and run down into these, and that actually should be about it. So we can just sketch that out now and get that all done. Is there anything else? There's usually something, can't think of it. So this is our top one's going to be our inlet, so that works. The bottom one's our outlet, that works. Okay, cool. Anyone see the little mistake I've made here? I had to sweat off that elbow as well. Of course I've got to put a T there. Don't know what I was thinking. Obviously having one of those days, guys. But this is a nice way of doing it. I love doing it like this, so you can design everything. It looks lovely. In a minute, and I don't know if I showed this really well, but what we have to install on this, firstly you can see that we're doing nice changes to the pipework there, putting everything at the back out of the way, just neatening up this whole sink. Oh, I mean, if I was getting paid for it, I'd take out all of that waste as well. It's so awful. Okay, so we've had a few issues, but we've got over them. One of the issues was there was a small pipe that went up into the kitchen tap that was leaking right at the top. So we've sorted that out now. Also, I used I've got a test kit from Stuart Turner that I use to make sure what the pressure is. Now, the maximum operating pressure of this water softener is 6 bar, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, we were getting 8 bar, okay? Which means at night, that'll go up a lot more, and it's just too high. So what we're doing, we're going to cut in, hopefully I've got the width to cut in a pressure reducing valve just down here. But if you have a look, it's all sort of going fairly well. Everything's in there now, the water's back on. So what I've got to do now is we've got to cut out this piece. We're just going to cut a slit out here so our water softener can slot in. Then we can get our hoses on, and then up the top we're also going to feed in our power supply and also our regeneration outlet. It's a good idea when you do this to make sure that the bottom of the carcass, because you've cut it away, is being stabilised by a couple of bits of timber or something like that, just to make sure it's okay. I didn't show us doing it in this video, but it's definitely there, don't worry. Also, we've been really lucky and we've popped the discharge pipe into the upstand for the washing machine. You can do it like this if you want, or a lot of the time you'll get a special kit that comes with the water softener that will allow you to drill a hole directly into the side of a bit of 1.5-inch pipe and terminate it in there. Right then, so we need to know now what the hardness of the water is. Now, we've left an unsoftened outlet, which is generally the cold tap in the kitchen or the drinking water tap. If you've got a separate drinking water one, then that's what you're going to use. Now, what we do, we use a special little hardness test kit that you get sent here. You usually get these when you buy a water softener. And then we figure out with basically the amount of drops equivalent to a table on here, and then the drops that we have on that will then set the water softener down there to the setting that it needs to be at, and then take a little bit off as well, because I like my water to be, I like to set my water softeners up so they're the right setting and then a little bit more, so they do more softening. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now, and see what kind of a setting we get in degrees Clark. Now, I always struggle with this because I am a bit colourblind, so turns blue in 1 drop, soft water, all okay. If the sample turns purple/plum on the first drop, keep adding until the sample turns blue. And then we count the drops. 14.
Well, we've got very hard water.
You have, I know
it's
you
just
have.
going.
It's just
15.
I don't know how blue you get.
No.
So if we're at 16, so you're looking at so that's blue there, you'd say?
Yeah,
very dark
that's
blue.
Dark
yeah.
blue now. Yeah.
So 16, 17 sort of drops. This is what we're
You said
looking
you
at.
thought it would be 15.
Yeah.
You must
It's
be
roughly the same as mine.
You must be clairvoyant.
Well, you're only up the way, aren't you? So
Same water. Still,
same water.
It's all coming out of
Rock hard. Well, this is about as hard as it gets, I think, around here. Right, rock hard.
That's because we're hard. We're hard here, you know. We're hard.
Right, so we programmed everything in there. We haven't got any salt in the machine yet. This is, purely for this particular water softener install. I mean, I think what you guys are going to take from this more than anything else is the actual installation process. But so now we're going to hold this down and then we're going to regenerate. There we go. Pretty much all done. I'm going to clear up now and then we'll have a nice overview of the whole install. Yeah. You're happy about your new water softener, aren't you, Bernie?
Oh, it's wonderful.
There we go,
Wonderful.
see.
And fitted by a celebrity plumber.
Alright, we're panning away now. Right then, guys, so what we've got in here, what we've had to do, you saw I did a pressure test, and we had pressure coming at 8 bar, so we've popped a pressure reducing valve on here. We've got it currently set at 2 bar, but if we wanted to, obviously we could crank that right up just using this here, if we find that the pressure's too low, but that's probably not going to be a problem. We've got a check valve on here. We also put a new lever valve there, so it's easy for them to turn off. I know some of you are saying, oh, it doesn't fall off, but why would you want that? Obviously drain off here, and then going up to the back there, we've got our manifold. The bypass is currently shut. Oh, let's just zoom in on that a bit. The bypass is currently shut there. We've got our flow in, then it goes off to our water softener, gets softened and goes back out, and then off to all of the outlets. And then at the top here, teeing off and just running over to the kitchen tap feed, and also the outside tap is our unsoftened feed, because we don't want to be paying to soften water that we put on the plants outside. That'd be mad. One little thing, we did have a slight weep on that joint there, which is why we've got a little bit of attacking going on there with the old solder beast. I don't really know why that one happened. Maybe just a slightly dry solder or something like that. But other than that, all done now. Just waiting for it to regenerate so we can just pop some salt in here. But yeah, they have softened water on every outlet other than the cold tap up there. I mean, you can drink softened water. Believe me, I've tried. You can make cups of tea with it. It tastes strangely different. So I don't really recommend you do that. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you've sort of learnt something about this sort of work. Like I always say, every installation's different. So this isn't the verbatim 100% way you should do it. Because as you know, for a start, we've got that little issue there with the overflow. But you know, I've already explained why that is and how we're going to fix that. But yeah, so if you've got any questions or anything like that, put it in the comments below. If this video has helped you out, click the like button. Perhaps even click the thanks button and donate me a pint. How about that? That'd be nice. Or of course you could join the AL Army, where we do live streams every Thursday evening at 6:30. They'd have seen this video already, and they'd have seen the editing procedure that I went through to make this into the fantastic story that you've hopefully enjoyed. So yeah, there we go guys. Any questions, pop them below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hold tight, as they say. WhatsApp's probably going to be the place as well that I'll share all the behind the scenes stuff. So what I'll probably do over the next few days, some of you this will probably matter to, probably most of you this won't matter, because most of you are behind the scenes members already. But we'll keep the behind